I'm Sophia Rossi, 46 years old, and for 16 years, I've carried the vivid ache of a betrayal that painted over my artistic dreams and forced me to sketch a new canvas. It was the autumn of 2009, a mild May evening in Perth, the air warm with the scent of jarrah trees from Kings Park and the distant hum of traffic along St. George's Terrace, when I faced my former curator, Mr. Alastair Grayson, in the cluttered back room of the Perth Art Gallery, a cultural hub in Western Australia's capital. The room, with its stacked canvases, scattered paintbrushes, and the faint smell of turpentine, had been my creative sanctuary during the relentless 12-hour exhibition setups that defined my early career, a place where the stroke of a brush and the hum of inspiration had fueled my passion. But that night it turned into a gallery where my ambitions were framed out under the harsh glow of a spotlight. I was 30 then, a talented painter with a flair for abstract landscapes. My proposed exhibition, featuring Indigenous-inspired works, a partnership with local artists, and a detailed portfolio I'd compiled, winning a West Australian Art Prize and catching the eye of gallery critics, my vision earning whispers of a curatorial role among the dedicated staff who saw me as the gallery's future. I joined the Perth Art Gallery in 2007 after graduating with honours from the University of Western Australia's Fine Arts program, bringing a fresh perspective to an institution steeped in tradition, dated displays, Eurocentric focus, a turnover rate nearing 18%. My name a quiet hope among assistants who believed I could reshape the collection. But that evening, as I presented a detailed proposal for a multicultural exhibit, highlighting desert motifs, a collaboration with Aboriginal communities, and a pilot show I'd curated, to secure a $180,000 state arts grant and elevate the gallery's profile, Mr. Grayson's demeanor shifted from mentor to rival, his posture stiffening as he adjusted his glasses. "You'll never run this gallery. Sophia, stick to framing," he snapped, his voice cutting through the rustle of paper, his eyes narrowing with a mix of disdain and ambition as he tapped my portfolio with a pencil. He admitted, with a smug smirk that sent a chill through me, that he'd stolen my concept, submitting it under his name to the grant committee just days before my presentation, securing the funding and a glowing review in the West Australian that praised his cultural vision. To bury me, he orchestrated my demotion with fabricated accusations, sloppy cataloguing based on altered records, unprofessional conduct from a staged dispute over a frame, backed by a loyal assistant he'd influenced, and a conveniently timed storage flood that lost my original sketches, which I'd stored in a locked portfolio that appeared water-damaged after a maintenance mishap. The gallery board, swayed by Mr. Grayson's 15-year tenure, his connections to a wealthy patron who'd funded the gallery's renovation, and my lack of allies, my sketches gone, leaving me defenseless, upheld his decision in 2010, reassigning me to framing duties, my reputation tarnished across Perth's art scene as unreliable and overambitious, a mark that clung to me like paint on a palette. My partner, Liam, a gentle potter with a love for bush ballads and a quiet spirit, supported me, but our savings dwindled under kiln costs, our dream of a studio with a garden fading into the cramped reality of a flat with chipped walls, a sagging couch, and a leaky skylight that dripped through the nights. Those words, "Never run this gallery, stick to framing," became a relentless echo, a haunting refrain that reverberated through every frame I hung, every canvas I stretched, every moment I stood alone in the storage room, the sound mingling with the scrape of wood and the hum of fluorescent lights. I can still feel the weight of those early months after the demotion, sitting on that sagging couch in our flat, the Swan River visible through the window, a reminder of my lost inspiration, as I flipped through art magazines and gig listings in the Australian, the ink smudging my fingers with each turn of the page, my eyes burning with exhaustion after sleepless nights replaying Mr. Grayson's betrayal. The flat, with its hand-me-down furniture, a wobbly table Liam had salvaged from a market, a chair with a torn cushion he'd patched with fabric, and a single skylight overlooking a laneway where street artists sprayed, felt a world away from the gallery I'd envisioned, its air heavy with the lingering scent of turpentine and paper I'd brought home on my smock, a reminder of the life I'd lost. Liam took on extra pottery commissions, vases for cafes in Fremantle, bowls for markets in Subiaco, his evenings spent glazing under a dim lamp, the scent of clay and eucalyptus a testament to his sacrifice, while I pieced together a fragile existence with freelance framing in Joondalup, art classes in Rockingham, and weekend shifts at a craft store in Midland, each stroke a fight to reclaim my craft. Every dollar a step toward survival in a city where studio rents climbed and artistic dreams felt unattainable. Our daughter, Isabella, born in 2011 after years of hoping, grew up surrounded by brushes turned into toys, sketchbooks stacked beside her crib, her childish questions a tender ache. "Why don't you make big paintings anymore, Mummy?" she'd ask, her small hands tracing the edges of my prize certificate. I'd smile through the tightness in my throat, spinning tales of new colors to paint the world. But the truth gnawed at me. Mr. Grayson had blacklisted me, his narrative of my instability spreading to galleries and collectives, his influence a barrier to my exhibitions, leaving me stuck in the frames of a career I'd once led. Mr. Grayson's career flourished in the years that followed. By 2016, he transformed the Perth Art Gallery into a national landmark, his name etched on awards from the Australia Council for the Arts, his wealth evident in a riverside mansion in Dalkeith, a holiday retreat in Margaret River, and a leased BMW for his tours. He hosted lavish art openings at the Art Gallery of Western Australia, his wife Evelyn dazzling in designer dresses at charity events for cultural preservation, his son Theo rising as a curator with a degree from the National Art School, while I rebuilt quietly, starting a small online art shop by 2013 from our living room. My sales grew. Prints for clients in Kalgoorlie, commissions in Albany, who savored my abstracts. My reputation, a quiet undercurrent in Perth's art scene, passed along at craft fairs and local galleries. But the wound deepened with every milestone of Mr. Grayson's success. His smug lectures at the Perth Institute of Contemporary Arts, Evelyn's Instagram posts from Rottnest Island, Theo's assistant role at a Sydney gallery, each a fresh brushstroke of pain. My parents, both gone by 2022, had believed his lies, their final years dimmed by his version of events, their letters filled with concern over my struggles. Isabella, now a 14-year-old budding artist at Perth Modern School, wrestled with embarrassment, her early works shadowed by Mr. Grayson's influence, her questions about my work strained by her childhood respect for the man. Liam's unwavering support, his hand-thrown mugs, his late-night ballads over cups of tea, his repairs of our leaky skylight, kept me steady, his love a steady line in the chaos. The turning point came 5 years ago, in 2020, when the first cracks in Mr. Grayson's polished facade emerged. His gallery faced lawsuits over unpaid artists, patrons posted viral complaints on X about plagiarized exhibits, and a whistleblower exposed falsified provenance records in an ABC Perth exposé. At 41, with my wrists aching from years of framing, I began my discreet investigation, contacting old assistants over coffee at cafes in Northbridge. I'd meet them in the early mornings, my notebook a shield, listening to their tales of Mr. Grayson's decline. Overworked staff, stolen ideas, a culture of fear, over plates of flat whites and croissants. Last month, on July 20th, 2025, I sat with Rachel, a former assistant who'd left in 2019, at a cafe in Leaderville, the hum of espresso machines a faint backdrop. Her trembling hands passed me a USB drive. "He's crumbling. Stolen exhibits. Fake records. Pressure on us to hide errors," she whispered, her voice thick with regret. "That show was yours, Sophia." My pulse raced. This was the evidence I'd waited for. On August 10th, 2025, I contacted Jai, a journalist with the West Australian who'd uncovered art scandals with a keen eye, meeting him at his cluttered office in East Perth. We pored over the USB. Photos of my 2009 portfolio sketch, detailed logs of Mr. Grayson's theft, emails hinting at bribed appraisers. "This could unframe him," Jai said, his voice a mix of excitement and caution. "But we need the right exhibit." On August 22nd, 2025, I dug deeper, turning our flat into a detective's lair. Amid sketchbooks and paint tubes, I accessed public records online, my fingers stiff but resolute. At 10 a.m., I found it, a 2023 audit report buried in the WA Department of Culture archives, tied to my plan, now linked to a forgery scandal that cost the gallery $200,000 in settlements. My hands shook as I printed it, the past merging with the present in a surge of clarity. That evening, At 9:58 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time on September 2nd, 2025, I sat by my skylight, the Perth skyline a soft glow, plotting my next move. The Western Australian Art Awards were on September 20th, a glittering event to mask Mr. Grayson's decline. I'd attend, not as the framer, but as his reckoning. What he didn't know was I transformed my pain into a palette of justice, blended by 16 years of resilience. The 4 weeks leading to the awards were a meticulous composition of strategy and secrecy, my days running the art shop a cover for the revenge painting in my mind. By August 25th, 2025 our flat, its walls lined with sketches faded by sunlight, its table cluttered with portfolio drafts stained with paint, its air rich with the scent of turpentine and clay, became my studio where every penciled outline and brushstroke fueled my resolve. Jai and I met nightly, his notebook open on my wobbly table as we dissected the USB and audit reports, the soft drip of the skylight a rhythm to our planning. My 2009 multicultural exhibit plan, with its indigenous motifs and community focus, had won Mr. Grayson his grant, its successive frame of his rise, while my desert tweaks, sand art I'd proposed, had been misused, leading to the 2023 scandal. Rachel's data revealed a pattern: stolen concepts from 2010, falsified records in 2018, a cover-up of a 2021 attribution, error hushed with appraiser bribes, a fragile gallery on the brink. I contacted Priya, a retired curator who'd clashed with Mr. Grayson over a 2015 exhibit dispute, her calm voice joining us via a crackling Zoom call from her home in Bunbury. "This could strip his credentials. Hit him mid-speech," she advised, her tone laced with old tensions. I nodded, my plan a canvas crafted from 16 years of suppressed rage, each hue a memory of lost shows, stolen credit, shattered trust. The awards, set for 7 p.m. on September 20th, 2025, at the Art Gallery of Western Australia, would be Mr. Grayson's showcase, a gathering of artists, critics, media, and patrons, all drawn by the promise of prestige under the gallery's modernist arches. I'd pose as a retired artist, my smock swapped for a modest outfit with a hidden pocket, my movements slow with a cane to conceal my intent, my dark hair in a loose bun a symbol of my enduring creativity. My task was to deliver the evidence to Jai, who'd signal Priya's Arts Council contacts at 8 p.m., timed with Mr. Grayson's acceptance speech, ensuring maximum exposure. I secured an invitation through Isabella, now a 14-year-old who'd impressed a judge at a school art fair, her email on August 28th a laminated pass I clutched like a brush, her note reading, "You're my masterpiece, Mummy." She suspected nothing, her talent a tool I'd wield with care. Preparation was a rigorous sketch, a blend of physical discipline and emotional fortitude. I practiced my shuffle daily along the Swan River, perfecting a weary gait and a warm, unassuming smile that masked my burning resolve, my cane tapping a rhythm of patience against the path. I rehearsed lines, just here to celebrate art heritage, though each word carried the weight of Mr. Grayson's betrayal, Liam's steadfast love, and Isabella's silent pride in my past. Physically, I painted studies and framed pieces daily, my wrists protesting, but each stroke strengthened my will to stand tall that night. I revisited old mementos, portfolio sketches from 2009, a faded photo with Liam at an exhibit, a palette Isabella decorated, a rejected grant proposal, each a spark in my fire. One night, I found a water-damaged sketch from the storage flood, its colors bled, and wept, the lost exhibit fueling my fury. I tracked Isabella's life, her art lessons, her friendship with a painter named Mia, hoping this act would secure her future free from Mr. Grayson's shadow. On September 17th, Mr. Grayson called, his tone silky with false warmth. "Sophia, the awards are special. Bring Isabella, let's frame a truce," he said, his voice smooth but laced with condescension. I agreed, hiding my scheme. He didn't suspect I'd coordinated with Jai, who'd lined up Priya's contacts, or that I'd commissioned an outfit with a hidden pocket, its fabric a shield of my past honor. The outfit arrived on September 19th, sewn by a local seamstress from Victoria Park, Mrs. Patel, who chatted about her weaving, unaware of my mission. I tested the pocket, sliding the USB and awed it inside, there weighed a promise of justice. At 6:30 p.m. on September 20th, I arrived, the art gallery buzzing with the clink of glasses and the murmur of excited artists, the river glinting through the arches. Mr. Grayson spotted me near the entrance, smirking. "Sophia, still framing?" "Charming," he quipped. I nodded, my cane steady, my pocket ready. At 7:45 p.m., he began his speech, launching into a tale of his artistic legacy and unveiling a new exhibit echoing mine. I scanned the scene, Isabella clapping awkwardly, Mia beside her, media filming, Evelyn sipping wine with a smug grin, Theo adjusting his father's notes. At 7:58 p.m., as Mr. Grayson praised his vision, I edged toward Jai, my pulse a drumbeat. I slipped him the USB and awed it, whispering, "Now." He nodded, texting Priya. At 8:02 p.m., council members stormed in, badges glinting under the arch lights, shouting, "Investigation underway." Mr. Grayson's portfolio fell, his face paling as they seized his tablet. The awards ceremony erupted into a maelstrom of chaos, attendees scattering like startled lorikeets fleeing the art gallery's grand hall, media cameras swiveling to capture every frame of the unfolding drama, Mr. Grayson's protests drowned by the authoritative commands of council members that echoed off the modernist arches, the lights casting fractured beams across the scene. Isabella stood stunned near a program table, Mia's hand on her arm offering silent support, her eyes wide with disbelief as the truth surfaced, while artists murmured in clusters, their creative world rocked by the scandal. I stood tall, my outfit a badge of my hard-earned resolve forged over 16 years, my cane a symbol of strength that had carried me through the quietest strokes, my heart pounding with a mix of 16 years of vindication and the bittersweet ache of a family nearly lost to Mr. Grayson's deceit that had cast a long shadow. Council members swarmed the stage, their dark coats a stark contrast to the gallery's elegant decor of white walls and polished floors, cuffing Mr. Grayson as he roared, "This is a travesty! Sophia, you'll pay!" his voice cracking with the desperation of a man watching his artistic empire crumble. They read charges, plagiarism that stripped his awards, falsified records that undermined his reputation, ethical breaches that deceived patrons. Each were a hammer blow to his legacy, the list growing with a $250,000 fine for unaccounted grants that funded his mansion, their voices steady as they recited the litany. Jai approached, his voice a lifeline amid the din of shouting and camera shutters. "They've got him, Sophia. You've done it. His frame's broken," he said, his eyes alight with the thrill of the scoop. The media frenzy was instantaneous. Headlines like Grayson's art scandal and artist's 16-year revenge blazed across screens by 10 p.m., my name a murmur of awe in the chaos that swirled through the gallery, microphones thrust toward me like brushes seeking a stroke. Mr. Grayson turned to me, his face flushed with rage that mottled his once refined features, sweat beading on his brow like condensation on a canvas, his tailored suit now rumpled as council members tightened their grip on his arms, his posture slumping under the weight of defeat. "You! After all this time, you petty little framer? You've destroyed my reputation!" he bellowed, his voice breaking with the desperation of a man whose palate was dry, his hands shaking as he pointed at me with a trembling finger. I met his gaze, unflinching despite the tremor in my own hands that betrayed the adrenaline coursing through me, my voice clear and resonant with the strength of 16 years of silent suffering that had sharpened my resolve. "You said I'd never run this gallery, Mr. Grayson, that I was only fit for framing. I proved you wrong, with evidence that outshines your lies, with grit that outlasted your schemes, with every stroke I painted while you stole and faltered. This is my payback for me, for Isabella whose future you dimmed, for every artist you crushed, for every exhibit you framed with your ego." He lunged, his fist raised in a futile gesture of defiance that spoke of his last grasp at control, but council members restrained him with firm hands, dragging him out as Evelyn sobbed hysterically, her wine glass slipping to shatter on the floor in a spray of red, a symbol of her fallen status. Isabella rushed to me, her voice breaking through the noise like a lifeline tossed into a stormy studio. "Mummy, I didn't know. I'm sorry for admiring him," she said, tears streaking her face as she wrapped her arms around me, the first embrace in months that mended a rift I'd feared growing. I hugged her back, the warmth of her body against mine a balm to the wounds of the past, Mia nodding in support with a quiet smile, a bridge to a future reclaimed from the canvases of my past. The crowd buzzed with reporters, their microphones thrust toward me like easels seeking a subject, but I turned away, my victory a private masterpiece burning bright within, a work no critic could erase. The fallout was swift and unyielding, a brushstroke that obliterated the remnants of Mr. Grayson's artistic empire. Council members suspended him from the Perth Art Gallery, seizing exhibition spaces in the CBD and storage rooms in Subiaco where canvases sat silent, records from Providence files hauled away in crates, freezing his personal accounts that held the profits of his deceit, halting his openings across Australia where he'd once curated, while inspectors raided his Dalkeith mansion for evidence of fraud, uncovering a vault with falsified appraisals. His gallery collapsed like a poorly stretched canvas, his reputation tarnished beyond repair, institutions distancing themselves with press releases, his name a cautionary tale whispered in studios from Fremantle to Broome, a fallen curator replaced by silence. The media dug deeper, uncovering a $100,000 slush fund for bribed appraisers that funded his Margaret River retreat and Evelyn's wardrobe, a detail that sent shockwaves through the Western Australian arts scene and prompted a state review, the scandal dominating evening news. Isabella reconciled fully, moving into our flat to help expand my shop into an art collective, her skills blending with mine, while Mia joined as a designer, her creativity a new stroke. Liam and I rekindled our dreams, planning a studio getaway to a property we'd finally afforded, the scent of Jarrah a promise of peace. Evelyn faded from gala circuits, her social circle dissolving like a fading watercolor, and Theo, Mr. Grayson's son, distanced himself, seeking a curatorial role under a new mentor to escape the taint. I didn't gloat. My goal was justice, not destruction, a balance I'd learned from years of perfecting my craft. But the sight of Mr. Grayson's fall brought a profound peace that filled the hollow left by his words, a quiet satisfaction that settled in my soul like a well-blended color. That night, at 9:58 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time on September 2nd, 2025, I sat with a cup of tea that grew cold on the counter, the news confirming his suspension on a muted TV, a letter from Mr. Grayson in hand, its envelope creased from my grip. Sophia, I was wrong. Help me, it pleaded, his handwriting shaky with the defeat that had finally overtaken him, the ink smudged as if by tears of regret. I didn't reply, the past too raw, my strength too hard-won to soften now, the paper crumpling in my fist as I set it aside to focus on the canvas ahead. Months later, his hearing began in a courtroom in Perth District Court, council members and inspectors wielding my evidence with the precision of a fine brush, Rachel's testimony a damning narrative of art's corruption, and Priya's audit records a final sketch, the gallery filled with former assistants who nodded in silent support, their aprons traded for suits. I attended the first day, my presence a silent testament to my journey from framer to this moment, seated beside Isabella and Liam, whose hand I held tightly, and watched Mr. Grayson's defense crumble under the weight of truth, dozens of former staff stepping forward with tales of pressure and theft, their voices a chorus of validation that echoed through the room. The judge, a stern jurist with a passion for sculpture and a gavel that rang like a chisel, ordered a full investigation, hinting at a potential ban from curating and fines that loomed like a blank canvas, his ruling a vindication of my 16-year wait. Isabella and I launched Rossi Art Collective, restoring family pride with community exhibits, hiring Rachel as a coordinator whose expertise bridged my past and present, while Liam retired from pottery to teach drawing to kids, his hands finding new purpose in pencils. I visited the Perth Art Gallery once, its hall silent with the absence of Mr. Grayson's voice, its frames a memory of my youth, a monument to his greed and my redemption that stood tall in my heart. My revenge, 16 years in the making, was not just justice served with a splash of spite. It was my rebirth, a gallery reclaimed from the wreckage of his sabotage, a testament to the resilience I'd always carried within, a masterpiece that grew stronger with each stroke I painted.